Coming at fourth, the bell will be rung once at the ninth minute and twice at the 10th minute.
Lastly, a question and answer session will
Hello, hello, mic test. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great, great.
mic test. You may now start the presentation.
Hello, everyone. I am Nagar.
Hi, I'm Arpita Jain.
Hello, I am Kanisha Khurana. Hello, everyone. I am Prisha Jain, and we are from St. Mark's Senior Secondary Public School, India.
In November of 2019, COVID appeared on a small scale, with China being the first country to be affected. As the world's second largest economy, China's COVID crisis had an impact on the entire world. Financial issues necessitated rethink job options. The lockdown made the youth doubtful about the choices they had. The pandemic also made drastic changes in our way of thinking and restructured our mindset. Its influence on our mentality led us to wonder about options that we once.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Never considered.
The topic, career stability and the emergence of new career paths, has been the most relevant topic in today's world. As soon as we start developing the sense of judgment, we tend to look at future career prospects. Being teenagers, we hear about career stability. Excuse me.
We can't hear you. Can you please speak up?
Yeah. We would like to present our own screen, if that's okay.
That's fine. That's fine. You may.
Yeah. Can we start again?
You may start again your presentation.
Thank you. Audio system audio. Check option नहीं हो रहा है.
Hi, I'm Arpita Jain.
Hello, I am Kanisha Khurana.
Hello everyone, I am Prisha Jain and we are from St. Mark's Senior Secondary Public School, India. In the second largest economy in the world, the falling financial state of China had an effect on the whole globe. Financial issues led society to rethink job options because the lockdown made the youth doubtful about the choices they hold. The pandemic also made drastic changes in our way of thinking and restructured our mindset. Its influence on our mentality led us to wonder about options that we once never considered.
The topic,
Career stability and the emergence of new career paths is one of the most relevant topics in today's world. As soon as we start developing a sense of judgment, we tend to look at future career prospects. Being teenagers, we hear about career stability and the emergence of new career paths in our day to day conversation. The topic intrigued us and motivated us to research more about the topic, and got to learn a lot about the new ongoing uh, opportunities.
Research methodology. In order to study the topic in depth, we organized surveys to understand the general public opinion and also interviewed the affected population. We circulated the survey and received a good number of responses wherein we focused on qualitative answers. We also managed to get interviews with people who established their startups during COVID as well as people who had already established their businesses. This helped us to study the impact of COVID on different institutions.
After the pandemic, 39.4% of the people prefer working offline, whereas 10.6 of the people were ready to work online. People have been working online for the past 2 years, due to which they have realized the importance of social interactions. However, the majority of the people, 50% of the people, prefer working in hybrid manner.
According to our survey, 52% of the people are of the opinion that career opportunities have expanded after the pandemic. This is due to the fact that people have found new ways to earn a living through different platforms like social media influencing and graphic designing.
Although unconventional paths are rapidly coming up, people are not sure whether these newfound career opportunities provide long-term security. They do allow more freedom and independence to work, but there are a lot of risks involved.
So no wonder that during the current pandemic also, many people are rethinking of switching their careers. Also looking forward to more flexible scheduling and working hours for themselves. They also want a positive work culture around them.
According to me, social media influencing does not have a long-term job security as compared to other jobs. Uh, it continues until and unless you keep your audience interactive with yourself. Then it is not the only aspect that one person has. One person cannot just be an influencer and keep on doing the same work.
My school indeed got affected because any school will work on physical classes. Kids will attend physical classes. As I'm running a preschool, the age group of our kids is 2 years to 5 years. It is very much not possible that kids will attend physical classes. And the option left out was online classes.
Yeah, so I believe like a lot of people realize that this is not how they should lead their lives. Like after the lockdown, they believe that they need to keep like taking pauses in between. So they decided the importance of sort of creating like their own comfortable space within their work environment. So yeah, I believe that those changes are here to stay.
Because obviously in COVID there was no personal interaction and nobody will visit your outlet or visit at your home if like I've started from my home, so nobody will come and look into my products.
When I started 7 years ago, this was a very new concept. As you know, a home baker did not exist as a concept. People would only go to a bakery and get a cake. So when I started doing it from home, people would think that, he's this person who's just making like a random cake, the sort of cake that your mother makes for you, a dry fruit cake in a cooker or something like that. So that's the kind of illusion people had about me.
Atmanirbhar Bharat, which also translates to Self-Reliant India, is a phrase given by our Honorable Prime Minister to help boost the country's economy. The aim was to maximize the utilization of Indian resources. Another scheme launched by the Indian government was Startup India, which encouraged the youth to start developing their own businesses rather than being unemployed. It was intended to catalyze startup culture and build a strong and inclusive ecosystem for the innovation and entrepreneurship in India. Freelancing. Freelancing is when you use your skills, education, and experience to work with multiple clients and take on various assignments without committing to a single employer. Amidst the changes and uncertainty brought by the COVID 19 pandemic, there has been a growing demand for freelance work. As businesses shut down and industries collapsed, people started preferring freelancing as it provides great flexibility and independence. It is also a great way to broaden horizons and it allows you to be your own boss. Through the different researches we conducted, we found that the pandemic has affected career options drastically. There has been a change in the stereotypical thinking of our society, and a lot of new options have emerged. The most popular of these options are freelancing, social media influencing, entrepreneurship, and graphic designing. The general opinion is that these career paths do not provide long term stability, but they ensure flexibility and allow people to follow their passion without restrictions. Since the pandemic, more and more people have started switching careers and they are now trying new career paths. Thank you.
Wow, that was such an educative yet enjoyable presentation.
I totally agree with you, Shako. That was such a wonderful presentation. Now, shall we start with the Q&A session?
Of course, but please keep in mind that only 2 questions are allowed during the session. The audience may ask. Seeing that somebody is curious, please do ask away.
Hi, good afternoon. I was wondering, what's your opinion on like these new career opportunities? Will it ever become what it used to be again?
Okay. So the new career opportunities that has emerged The new career opportunities that have emerged after the pandemic allow us to follow our passion without restrictions. For example, graphic designing, social media influencing, entrepreneurship. These paths might not have long term stability, but they allow flexibility and independence, which is a prospect that a lot of students look when they are choosing a career. So it is definitely a good option to consider, but we also have to take a look at the risks first before entering into the field.
I see. That was such a wonderful answer. Now there is another question that may be asked. If there is any other question, you may ask away.
Then, if not, the questioning shall be now. Yeah, the questioning shall now be open to the judges. Ask away.
Okay, I have a question here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So can you share your experience from your school? What are the career session or career fair being done in your school, and to highlight on the new career path.
In our school, we have students from first to 12th grade. We have a lot of workshops held almost every month in our school on the different career opportunities, wherein students are educated and explained the different career paths in the different streams they can go into, and what risks are involved, and what profits they can get, and After that, we also have an interactive Q&A session where students get to ask questions and the professionals answer their questions.
Thank you for your questions, and we appreciate the participation of that answer.
Now, with the Q&A session completed, that concludes the presentation for the afternoon.
For the guests that have just joined, don't worry, there will be more upcoming and possibly more informative sessions.
Now,
Thank
next
you.
on our next on our list would be Kabatas Erkat High School, Team 2.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome back, I bid to the guests, judges, teachers, and participants to FRSIS 2022. I am Ahmad Hazim bin Ahmad Fiza.
And I am Wan Malik Shakur bin Wan Firdaus.
Both of us from Sekolah Dato Abdul Razak will be your moderators for this lovely session. I would also like to introduce you to our judges for today. The Chief Judges, Mr. Nick Zahir bin Nick Muhammad Idris, the Vice President 2 of SVAM Society Malaysia. The second judge is Miss Syafiqah Amira binti Saleh from Sekolah Menengah Sains Pasir Putih. While last but not least, Miss Mastina Wati binti Ahmad from Sekolah Menengah Sains Batu Pahat.
I would like to introduce the timekeepers, Uzairi Hakimi bin Saizan and Muhammad Alif Nuriman bin Hamzah, also from Sekolah Dato Abdul Razak.
Just a quick recap before we start. For those who don't know, FRSIS stands for Fully Residential Schools International Symposium.
And our school has been chosen as the host for its 10th edition. I feel very honored, but also quite nervous too. But putting my emotions aside, how about we go over the rules?
Absolutely. Firstly, each team should consist of a presenter and a technical assistant.
The presentation must focus on the sub-theme assigned to the team. In total, there are 6 sub-themes. And in this situation, the sub-theme is
Career sustainability and the emergence of new career paths.
Thirdly, the duration of the presentation should not exceed more than 10 minutes.
Coming in at the fourth, the bell will be rung once at the 9th minute and twice at the 10th minute.
Last but not least, a question and answer session will be conducted after the presentation. But there's a catch. Only 2 questions are allowed per presentation.
Chako, what happens if there is no questions from the participants?
Well, if that were to happen, we will have to open the questioning to the judges.
Now, with the rules done and dusted, without further ado, let's invite our second team from Kabatas Erket High School, Team 3.
You may now start your presentation.
Hello everyone, my judges and my audience. Today we as Kabatas Erket High School from Turkey are going to talk about career sustainability and the emergence of new career paths post-COVID-19. My name is Hasan Yavuz.
My name is Bora.
My name is Kairege.
My name is Furkan.
Then we can start. Presentation is going to be open soon. Yes, so here is our subtopics in order. First, we are going to talk about COVID-19 and the world. Then we are going to talk about its effects on businesses. Then about new working styles and how it changed the way that we work, the way we did our jobs. And then we will talk about digitalization. So first, COVID-19 and the world. The COVID-19 outbreak was first discovered in November 2019 in Wuhan, China. Starting as a pneumonia of unknown cause, it spread all over the world in just a few months and infected millions of people from every country. In March 2020, it was declared a pandemic by WHO. Here you can see the confirmed COVID-19 deaths per million people by the date of 5th of October 2022. You can see that countries with low population have more deaths compared to their million population. In order to combat the threat of the pandemic, nations and countries had to make countermeasures like lockdowns and vaccination. Nearly all countries had went into lockdown by April of 2020. The borders were closed and social and economic life alike went into depression. Fortunately, a vaccine was able to be found by Pfizer and started to be produced in 2020. More than 12 billion doses of vaccine have been administered in nearly 194 countries since the start of the pandemic. We got a source by Wikipedia.
First of all, we must know the pandemic's effects on the labor force and consumption habits. The main reason for unemployment is the fear of businesses about their future. For example, most of the businesses suffered economically, and because of this, they fired most of their employees. And as a result, we saw a notable decrease in production. Now, let's look at the graphic of the stock markets of some countries. To note, there is a right proportion between the stock markets and the rate of production. As we can see in the graphic, these five big stock markets went downside during the start of the pandemic. But after the first vaccine got announced, which is the Pfizer vaccine, some of them recovered. But as we can see, some of them still haven't recovered. For example, Italy MIB and FTSE 100 is still not in the recovery state. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted labor markets globally during 2020. Short-term consequences were immediate and harsh. COVID-19 has also given importance to physical work. It also added new technologies and growing trade links. It has been shown that jobs with the highest physical proximity are the ones to be most disrupted. As we can see in this graphic about working areas varying in overall physical proximity, we can see that medical care and personal care areas are the ones with the highest rates because they are the areas which we have face-to-face interaction mostly. A different amount of occupations may emerge after the pandemic across some countries. Compared to a pre-COVID-19 estimate, experts expect the largest negative impact of the pandemic to affect workers in food service, customer sales, and office support roles, which require the less skill to accomplish. Also, jobs connected with warehousing and transportation have a chance to increase as a result of the growth in e-commerce and the economy of delivery. For example, since the COVID-19 quarantine started, governments started to have lockdowns and people were locked in their houses. And as a result, they started online shopping so they could order everything online they needed. According to a research, approximately 25% more workers may have the need to switch occupations than the amount before the pandemic. This happens because of the job growth in high-wage jobs and declines in low-wage jobs. Because of these declinings and job growth, unemployment rates also increased, and the distribution of jobs may change due to this desire in wages. And according to this graphic about the mix of occupations may shift by 2030 in the post-COVID-19 scenario, as we can see, mostly the increases are being expected in healthcare, and the decreases are in office support and food service roles. But there are some expectations. For example, experts expect India to have an increase in production and warehousing.
And lastly, we will talk about COVID-19 and digitalization. As countries went into quarantine one by one, businesses looked onto digitalization to not fall apart and continue their respective jobs as normal as possible. Working at home became normal, and applications like Zoom or Microsoft Teams became popular because of the need to do online meetings for both businesses and schools. And career jobs also benefited, as my friend Bora said, as online shopping skyrocketed because of people's needs at the time. Actually, digital and computer-based jobs as a whole got a lot more profitable as widespread, as we started to understand the power of technology and helping it could offer during trying times, especially for long-distance communication. Everyone probably remembers how hopeless the world felt after the pandemic, like nobody could do anything at that time. But then we started to organizing using technology, and just like I said, Zoom, and we found a way to get out of the crisis. Here is the reference that we used from BBC, Wikipedia, and etc. And thank you for listening to us.
Wow, that was such an educative yet enjoyable presentation.
I totally agree with you, Shako. That was such a wonderful presentation. Now, shall we start the Q&A session?
Of course, but please keep in mind that only 2 questions are allowed during the session. Audience may ask away. Seems like somebody is about to ask. Please ask away.
So after the outbreak of COVID-19 in Turkey, what kind of jobs that started to emerge after the pandemic? Can you please share the situation with us?
Okay, so when the pandemic got announced in Turkey, the jobs that emerged were mostly digital. For example, there were dietists, which offered people diets. Mostly these people were in social medias. This is one of the jobs. And also there was a need for programmers as people start to use digital apps more. And the system of these digital apps started to collapse because of the crowdity in these apps. For example, computer engineering, like people started to have a need more for computer engineers.
That was the first question. Does anybody from the audience have any more questions? Seeing that nobody else is asking, the questioning shall now be open to the judges. Seeing that there are no questions from the judges, the Q&A session has now been completed. And that concludes the presentation for the afternoon.
For the guest that has just joined, don't worry, there will be more upcoming and more possibly informative sessions. Now, next on our list would be Besiktas Sakib Sabanci Anatolian High School, Team 2.
Good evening and welcome back to the guests, judges, teachers, and participants to FRSIS 2022. I am Wan Malik Shakur bin Wan Fidaus.
Joined by me, Ahmad Hazim bin Ahmad Fiza, and will be your moderators for this lovely session. I would also like to introduce you to our judges for today. The Chief Judge, Mr. Nick Zahir bin Nick Muhammad Idris, Vice President 2 of SVAM Society Malaysia. The second judge, Ms. Shafika Amira binti Saleh from Sekolah Menengah Sains Pasir Putih. Last but not least, the third judge, Ms. Matina Wati binti Ahmad from Sekolah Menengah Sains Batu Pahat.
I would also like to introduce the timekeepers, Uzairi Hakimi bin Sahizan and Muhammad Alif Noriman bin Hamzah from Sekolah Dato Abdul Razak.
As a quick recap before we start, for those who don't know, FRSIS stands for Fully Residential Schools International Symposium.
And our school has been chosen as the host for its 10th edition. I feel very honored, but also quite nervous too. But putting my emotions aside, how about we go over the rules?
Absolutely. Firstly, each team should consist of presenters and a technical assistant.
Secondly, the presentation must focus on the sub-theme assigned to the team. In total, there are 6 sub-themes, and in this situation, the sub-theme is career sustainability and the emergence of new career paths.
Thirdly, the duration of the presentation should not be more than 10 minutes.
Fourthly, the bell will be rung once at the 9th minute and twice at the 10th minute.
A question and answer session will be conducted after each presentation. But there is a catch. Only 2 questions are allowed per presentation.
But Hazim, what happens if there are no questions from the participants?
Well, if that happens, then we will open the questioning session to the judges.
I see. Now, with the rules done and dusted, without further ado, I invite our school for this evening, Besiktas Sakib Sabanci at Anatolian High School, Team 2. You may now start your presentation.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you. So today we will be presenting you the adaptation of careers in the new era presentation. We're coming from Sakib Sabancı Anatolian High School. We are under the sub-theme, the second, which is career sustainability and the emergence of new career path. We're glad to be here, and yeah, let's move on.
Hi everybody, I'm Mefan. Today I will talk about content. So at first we will see who are we, then you will learn before and after new normal. Then we will show some new IT related careers, and after that you will see positive and negative effects. Related with that situations, you will see some surveys and polls, and related with negative effects, we will talk about the solutions, then resources, and the end.
And before we start with the actual presentation, I would like to present ourselves and tell you about ourselves. So we have our lovely teacher, Ayşe Şule Kılınç, with us. And there's Ece Kılıç, Hüsniye Erdem. And my co-speaker today, who is going to presentation with me, Vefa Ceylan. And me, Emir Emiroğlu. As I said, we're coming from Sakip Sabancı Anatolian High School from Turkey. So let's begin.
So I will talk about before and after new normal. As you know, working remote has become more popular for IT-related careers because the companies just wanted to work from remote to have more efficient about their works. So they are important. At the same time, they couldn't do their meetings face-to-face. So it was really important to do their meetings online. Also, to be more creative, then Web 2.0 tools or applications were really useful, and it showed the creative sides of the people. Also, some countries has just accepted only 4 days of work a week procedure.
And we can't just pass up the new careers that have emerged after this new type of working. So there are some now new IT-related careers that emerged. So there are some data scientists, product managers, database managers, DevOps engineers, which I don't even know, to be honest with you. So mobile application developers, database administrators, and cybersecurity specialists, which are very popular and very big companies, really do invest on cybersecurity. Digital marketing managers and social media managers. This is also very popular with the Gen Z's interest on social medias. There are some professionals now that handles the social media accounts, especially they run the social media accounts of some celebrities. So these people really do earn a lot because they are needed now, and there are not a lot of people who are professional on these kind of jobs. So these are the future jobs, to be honest.
So
Yes.
I will show some positive and negative effects related with that situation. One of the positive effect is working fastly. You can do many things that can be handled in a matter of time because you are working online, so it's much more easier. At the same time, you can reach many people with the advance of technology, with the advance of messenger apps, that you can reach many people in seconds, and you can be worldwide. If I talk about the negative effects, then expressing yourself clearly may be bad because with the new way of working remotely, people can't have face-to-face interactions or activities all the time. That can cause misunderstandings more often because you cannot understand the emotions of your co-workers or colleagues. Also, uncertain job careers can be a problem because it's not certain how to certain areas of jobs will adapt to this new era.
And related with that, I would like to share some surveys that was made by IBM. If you don't know, IBM is a big company that does some computer stuff. So IBM polled 25,000 workers during the coronavirus lockdowns, and they made some surveys. They asked some questions. So 54% of their employees said that they would prefer to work remotely full time, and 46% of them said they were against it. So this is actually 50-50, nearly 50-50, which is interesting. And 75% said that they would like to work from home at least part-time, which is clearly the majority. 25% were against it, and 40% strongly said that they strongly believe employers should give their staff the choice of working remotely, which is not the majority, the minority actually. 60% were against it, so they think the employers should decide on this. Yes, that's it.
So finally, I'll talk about the solutions for the negative effects. That can be doing some online collaborative activities with the employees, so it can solve the lack of interaction with your colleagues or working friends. So at the same time, transitioning into hybrid working systems could be a solution for those jobs to adapt the new era, because we talked about it, that not all the jobs can be adapted to this new era. So it's really important because sometimes they cannot work fully remote. So it's really important. Finally, in this changing new world, people can apply for psychological health support because with the lack of interaction problems, with the lack of emotion problems, it may be hard to adapt to this new era. So people can have friends or family beside them, or they can apply for psychological health support.
Yes, and these are our resources. Thank you so much for listening to us.
We are we
Yes,
are very happy to take part in that project. We hope you liked it. See you
thank
later.
you.
Wow, that was such an educative yet enjoyable presentation.
Yes, it was. That was such a wonderful presentation. Now, shall we start the Q&A session?
Of course, but please keep in mind that only two questions are allowed during the audience may ask away.
Hi, good afternoon. So I was wondering, with the transition from pandemic to endemic, how has the demand for IT related careers changed? How have they changed?
Fan, would you like to answer?
Yeah, I can answer. From pandemic to endemic, it was very big change situation. So many careers just changed their working styles, like fully remote or part-time remote. So some of the software engineers just worked part-time remote. That means hybrid system. Many companies which are popular just started to work in a hybrid situation. So we're thinking like that.
That's Mike. I see. That was a very good answer. Now, there's also another question that has to be asked.
Hello, good afternoon. We would like to ask in your slide, in your first slide, I think, you mentioned about the 4 working days for a week. So we want to know whether it has been implemented in your country or is just the suggestions or the vision or your suggestions for your government to for the workers to work only 4 days a week.
Okay, I can answer that. So the thing is, actually, it's not implemented in our country. It's actually implemented in some European countries, especially in Italy. There was Belgium that accepted this 4 days of working system. So there are a lot of companies in some countries that do this 4 days of working procedure. This is a new type of working system, and this is not implemented in our country. No, that's not the thing.
Wow, that really cleared my understanding. Now, with the Q&A session completed, that concludes the presentation for the afternoon.
For the guests that have just joined, don't worry, there will be more upcoming and possibly more informative sessions. And for the presenters, until next time, we wish you a very good day.
Now, I would like to invite Sekolah Menengah Sains Kepala Batas to present.
in other work arenas as business models shift in response. So what are the long-term impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic could mean for the future? There are 3 points that we have studied. First, the continued rise in e-commerce and app-based services. So the movement control order was the initial boost to e-commerce, and it has due to the inability to go to physical stores, and has then opened the eyes of consumers to the benefits of e-commerce. So if we were to see the example of Korea, its online retail sales had a more abundant increase compared to its retail sales, and a study has shown that global e-commerce has increased to 26.7 trillion US dollars in 2020. So moving on, the expanded telehealth and medical services. So telehealth usage. Telehealth usage has telehealth usage. Forgive me. Telehealth usage had increased, especially during the pandemic. Telehealth usage. Telehealth usage surged as consumers and providers sought ways to forgive me. Telehealth usage surged as consumers and providers sought ways to provide healthcare safely. And hence, it was 78 times higher in terms of utilization, as you can see here on this graph, and compared to February of 2020 to April of 2020. And it was 35 times higher even after the overwhelming surge from June of 2020 to February of 2021. Moving on to our next point. Due to the pandemic, limited physical proximity has caused the work environment to pivot to small teams working from home remotely. Though there are some downsides to this, as a notable decrease in productivity has been reported due to the lack of a proper formal work environment. So moving on to our second discussion topic. What will happen to our future lifestyles? So there are 3 main possibilities that we have researched. First, in software engineering. So as technology advances, more complex software is needed. So hence, software engineering and development has a substantial increase in growth by 25% in 10 years, according to a certain study. Moving on. The amount of influencers has shown a conspicuous increase of 26% in 2021. So many organizations have found that social media influencers can help advance the strategic goal attainment. And number 3, online delivery services conveyed a raise in growth of 37%. So that is the end of the 2 topics that we have for today. I will now pass the presentation to Alif Danish.
Okay, thanks, Nisar. So regarding the last topic, let me see the third one, which is, are we ready to adapt to be in a new career environment? So guys, we need to know, are we ready? So how to know? So during our research, we do a survey to see how far our respondents concerned about this issue. So there are 5 main questions that relate on how their work about new career environment. For your information, this survey involved 50 respondents aged 18 to 30 years old. Why we focus on youth community in this result? Because we believe that they are the next generation to survive and also create our future lifestyle and economic landscape. So without wasting our time, let's see first and second question result. First question, did COVID-19 affect their life economically? As you can see, 80% of them agree on this statement. That's why we also got a high response that say they do sub jobs during the pandemic to avoid any financial problem, and we can see that the main jobs that they do as a side job, which is a business, online business, content creators, and others. The third one, do they think food delivery services such as Foodpanda and GrabFood are necessary during the pandemic era? So based on the result, we can see that 90% of them think that this is a situation that we need to admit. Thus, majority of them also think that thus food delivery riders out there make their life more easier and convenient because they can get their favorite food without taking any risk to go out from their home. Not only food delivery services, they also think influencers also are very important in their life during the pandemic. It is because they think influencers out there can help people who run small business by promoting their products online via online platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, and others. So based on all this transport, we can see that this new career have a big potential to improve our lifestyle, also change and give a big paradigm to our economic landscape. So I pass back my turn to Nusair.
So I will be presenting our last discussion topic for today. How do we prepare our future generations to survive in a new career culture? So for individuals, you must know your skills and strengths, identify your career options, and balance your work life. For educational institutes, they must offer STEM courses to students, improve implementations of the PBL method to ensure to produce graduates who are ready for any workplaces. For companies, they should create more digital job opportunities and add features in the services, systems, and applications. And for the governments, they must introduce new national policies related to future jobs management and provide special financial assistance and empower TVET, STEM, gig economy, and 4IR policy. So that is the end of our 4 discussion topics here today. I now pass the presentation back to Aina.
Thank you for both presenter Alif Danish and Ahmad Nusai for a very mesmerizing presentation. So in conclusion, we all need creative visions for how our lives are organized and valued in the future in a world where the role and meaning of work started to shift. That's all from us. Thank you.
Now, I would like to invite the audience to ask any questions. Please be reminded that only 2 questions can be asked.
So my question, in your opinion, do you think how can influencer help small business promote their product in pandemic? Okay, so let me answer it. Okay, as we know, influencer is a person that have a popularity among in social media. So how they can help us? In case my mother want to have a business, however, she doesn't have a big cost to support the promoting aspect. However, by the help with an influencer, this influencer can help my mother by promoting this product to a netizen out there. So I think it is the best way because why? Majority of Malaysian is also a citizen and also online user. So I think it is a best way to help people. Thanks.
Hi, good afternoon. So I'm from Academy Science Bandang. So what would you say is the single biggest thing that the transition from pandemic to endemic has taught us about how careers keep changing? Thank you.
So as we can see that during the pandemic, there's emerge of a new career such as food panda riders. So during the endemic era, even though there's no any COVID race, there's still some people use the food panda services because it's very convenient and easy to them. Even though there's no any risk COVID-19 anymore because we're taking the vaccine, right? So we sure that during the transition between the pandemic and to endemic era, there's a new career that emerged that we didn't even know that we need the careers in our life to help us in daily life. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Thank you to the presenters for the Thank you to the presenters for the wonderful presentation.
Now, I would like to invite the last school for today, which is Sekolah Menengah Sains Lahad Datu, to present. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the judges, teachers, guests, and participants of FRSIS 2022. Now, I would like to introduce our judges today. The Chief Judge is Mr. Nik Zahir bin Nik Muhammad Idris, Vice President 2, SVAM Society Malaysia. The second judge is Ms. Shafika Amira binti Saleh from Sekolah Menengah Sains Pasir Putih. The third judge is Ms. Mastina Wati binti Ahmad from Sekolah Menengah Sains Batu Pahat. And I, Hana Amani binti Zulkarnain from Sekolah Menengah Sains Seri Putri.
And I, Kamilia Alia binti Badr Rizal from SVP Integrasi Tun Abdul Razak, while the timekeepers Uzairi Hakimi bin Sahizain and Muhammad Alif Nur Iman bin Hamzah are from Sekolah Dato Abdul Razak. Now, allow me to read the rules. First, each team should consist of presenters and a technical assistant.
Next, the presentation must focus on the sub-theme assigned to the team.
The duration of the presentation should not be more than 10 minutes. I repeat, should not be more than 10 minutes.
The bell will be rung once at the 9th minute and twice at the 10th minute. I repeat, will be rung once at the 9th minute and twice at the 10th minute.
And lastly, a question and answer session will be conducted after each presentation. Now, I would like to invite the last team from Sekolah Menengah Sains Lahad Datu. You may now present.
Assalamualaikum and greetings I bid to everyone. So, during the COVID-19 pandemic, I've read an article about a pilot who only flies commercial passenger planes once a week, decided to work a second job as a lorry driver driving across Malaysia. Given that his income as a pilot had been reduced by 80% due to the pandemic. So, why am I telling you this? Well, it's simply because this article had shown us that the ones considered most profitable job are able to went downhill because of this hazardous virus. That's why we, the students of Sekolah Menengah Sains Lahad Datu, will present to you our research regarding this issue with the title Endemic Uncovering a New Sustainable Career in STEM.
Before we step into the sustainable careers, first of all, we need to know the definition of it. Sustainable career is defined as career that achieve living and working conditions that support people in engaging and remaining in work throughout an extended work life. For instance, doctor is a great example of sustainable career. This is because its relevancy is still present due to the fact that people still seek medical attention from them. However, that is not our main topic for today. Hence, I would like to invite my friend Shafini to proceed with the presentation.
Thank you, Muhaimin. So, the aim of our research are to discover a new and sustainable career. To discover new and sustainable careers that have emerged during the COVID-19 pandemic, figuring out whether it is sustainable in this post-pandemic era or not, and to find out whether it can replace the current generation's ambition or not.
In order to find information for our research, we conduct a survey. Let us take a look at the survey. This survey involved a total of 114 respondents. The ages ranges between 14 until 24 years old. 48.2% of them are pre-university students, 38.6% of them are high school students, and the rest are undergraduates.
As for the job knowledge, we discovered that most of our respondents know that their ambition is sustainable. However, 53% of our respondents didn't know the employment rate for their chosen career. I believe that it is important for people to know the employment rate as it will determine the career sustainability. Following that, we also asked the respondents whether they will change their ambition if we provide some information about a job that is more sustainable. As a result, 61.4% of them voted for maybe, 24.6% voted for yes, and the rest voted for no.
And now, we are going into the sustainable careers. The first career is machine learning engineer. Now, you might wonder, what is machine learning engineer? They are proficient programmers who research, build, and design self-running software to automate predictive models. One of the real-life examples of the product that machine learning engineer contribute is Netflix. This is due to the fact that Netflix algorithm constantly gather massive amount of data about users' data activity, such as when you pause, rewind, or fast forward at shows using a lot of machine learning applications. Therefore, I would like to touch on the jobs requirement. Firstly, one need to be able to write a robust code. Next, they need to have a deep knowledge in the mathematics field. Last but not least, they need to be able to work in a team. Next, their workload consists of designing machine learning systems and test running it to make it foolproof. This job is expected to keep growing due to the increment in the job employment rate as high as 75% from 2018 until 2022. Last but not least, the average salary for this job is 57,000 Malaysian ringgit per year.
Next on the list is medical and health service manager. So, what did they do? Medical and health service manager plans, direct, and coordinates all the medical and health services. Regarding the job requirement, firstly, one needs to earn a degree in business or any related field. Next, you're required to choose a specialty in your field and determine which part do you feel the strongest in. Once you acquire a degree in business or in any related field, you will begin your career as an entry-level position. In view of workload, you have to plan, organize, and manage operation and activities of health clinics. Following that, you also have to manage the process of clinical teams, set direction, and provide guidance to team members. Touching on employment rate, the job has been projected to grow 28% from 2021 to 2031, which is impressive because the growth is much faster than all other occupations. The average salary for medical and health service manager is 150,918 Malaysian ringgit per year. But at the same time, it also has been estimated that in 2027, the salary will be 181,000 and more.
Last in order is digital content specialist. A digital content specialist is a career where they are required to produce a content for digital sites and social media platforms by, by with the background research that they perform as needed. So, in order to, the job requirements for this job are, you need a bachelor's degree in marketing, a good knowledge of content and layout design tools, and an excellent verbal communication skills. As for the workload, you need to research appealing content, editing the content before publishing it, and creating content for a variety of platforms. Touching on the employment rate. So, this career is expected to grow 20% between the year 2018 and 2028. Lastly, the salary is 79,895 ringgit per year.
After we have introduced these jobs, we found out that 0.8% of the respondents didn't sure if they will change their ambition, while the one that want to change it and the one that refuse to do it are equally divided.
In summary, the jobs that we have presented to you are able to last for the next few generations based on the prediction of analysts. Not only that, it is able to satisfy the minds of younger generations to change their thoughts. Lastly, in order to prevent something like in the pandemic from happening, we hope that perhaps in the near future, there will be someone who are able to create jobs that is able to help medical workers in identifying a virus in the human body by creating a system. For instance, it may be able to scan the human body temperature and analyze the current health status of residents in a certain area. With this initiative, we can ensure that our nations will be fully safe and free of disease. Remember, it is better to be safe than sorry.
Last but not least, this is some of the reference that we use during conducting this research. Thank you for lending your ear. That's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation. Now, I would like to invite the members of the floor to ask any questions. Please be reminded that only 2 questions can be asked.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi. I'm from Kepala Batas Science Secondary School. As we know, like technologies and digital jobs give us many advantages in our life. So, how Malaysia government promote all these things in our community?
Thank you for your question. Thank you for your question. So, your question is about how the Malaysian government promote these jobs. Am I right? Okay. Malaysian government promotes these jobs by promoting it on social media. As we know, younger generations today like to browse on social medias, right? So, the governments often promotes these jobs by airing an advertisement on these jobs on social medias. Other than that, they also held programs at schools to introduce these jobs to younger generations. That's it.
A very good afternoon, guys. So I'm from Academy Science Bandang, and I've got a question. So I was wondering, do you guys think that the career paths of the careers you have presented just now, are they sustainable? Perhaps they are subject to change in the future.
Can you repeat your question, please?
Do you think that these career paths, are they sustainable?
The career task is sustainable.
Yes, we do think the career paths.
Based on employment rate job.
Yes,
Employment rate.
we do think that these career paths are able to sustain for the next few generations. This is due to the fact that, as we have presented just now, most of the jobs that we have presented to you are able to grow by, for example, when I presented the digital content specialist, it is able to grow by 20% by the year 2018 and 2028. So I'm pretty confident that it is able to sustain for the next few generations. That's it.
Thank you for the questions and the answer. The Q&A session has finally ended. Now, I would like to invite the judges to comment on their presentation.
Okay, overall the presentation is good. I mean,
Thank you.
you did your research for that. Only that, for example, like for some points you tend to forget. You just go at the back and read the. But I saw some of your, you do something on that, but it's good. Okay. Yeah, mostly I would say that the machine learning, all the jobs you mentioned, can be sustained for I think many years, because now you can see that a lot of people are going towards IR 4.0, that digitalization, big data, everything, right? So they need this kind of expertise. Okay. Then you can see from the job description, they need degree. Because I heard from the news last time about 25,000 students, they opt out after SPM. So it's quite saddening. I mean, because let's say if you want to do alternative job or what, you want to be influencer, you want to be any kind of jobs, but you need to have at least a degree. Okay, so keep out the go over. You are done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to all presenters for the interesting presentation, and thank you to all judges and audience for your time.